5-minute
call. This is your 5-minute call with Cessalee Stovall.
Hey, what's up? It's your 5-minute call with Cessalee Stovall. Today we have on the line David F.M. Vaughn. Now, David is a longtime friend of mine as a fellow Florida State alum. But David's top 5 are, number 1, he was the original Broadway company of the musical Shrek on Broadway and then went on to do tours and has directed it a few times since then. Number 2, he is also one of our music, dance, theater workshop lead teaching artists. So if you've been to one of our workshops, you've probably met David and you probably heard his stories. Number 3, David is really busy these days choreographing and directing at Music Theater West in LA. And David hails from Tampa, and he's a professional poker player. Thanks for joining us today, David. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm awesome, thanks. Thanks for asking. So let's jump in. Number 1, can you tell me a little bit about your journey from high school to college to where you are now?
The introduction to theater for me was my mom put me in like a theater summer camp when I was little, and I kind of fell in love with it and went from there. So I went to the Broadway Theater Project, which was a training camp for high school and college students.
Okay.
And that was used to be headed by Ann Ranking, no longer. That kind of started me going in the musical theater world. I went to Florida State, and I auditioned for their musical theater program twice. Did not get in twice. So
Me too.
yeah. Got a degree in theater and went from there.
And how did that take you to where you are now? What happened after college for you?
So my first job actually was kind of offered to me. The head of the opera program at Florida State, which I had worked at, offered me a job in a professional opera for the Dayton Opera in Ohio. And that was my first job, actually. And then I came back to New York City and officially moved back and was lucky enough to book the Saturday Night Fever tour right away. So I was very, very lucky to kind of hit the ground running. I booked, an equity show, so I got my card right away. It's my first time understudying, and it was a national tour, so it was a really great I was kind of pushed head first into the musical theater world, but it was a great joy.
That's awesome. What was like the breakthrough for you?
Honestly, I think that show, Saturday Night Fever, I was so lucky to have booked that, because not only was it a first national tour and I got my equity card, I got to understudy, I got to meet a lot of people. It gave me the money to continue afterwards. It was just a very lucky happenstance. I actually wasn't going to go to the audition, and my roommate's girlfriend at the time was interning at the casting agency.
Okay.
She called him, and she's Brian Walker, and she called him and she said, "Hey, why isn't Dave coming to audition?" And I was like, I don't know, it's just not my show. I wouldn't be right for that. I'm not skinny enough for it. She's like, no, come. And then I booked it. So I'm so glad. I'm so thankful for her, because she was the reason I really went in and booked that show.
Okay, now what's your most memorable show moment?
My most, I'll say positive, memorable show moment was performing at I think it was the 2009 Tony Awards. It was my first time ever performing at the Tony Awards, and I was so kind of starry-eyed and excited. And it was one of those few, I remember stepping out on stage for the very first time, and it was one of those few moments in life where it's exactly how I always pictured it as a kid. So many things, like your first Broadway show and things, it's never quite the way you dreamed of, but like that Tony Awards performance was just magical and amazing, and seeing the whole crowd of people dressed up in tuxes and everything. And I got to meet Dolly Parton backstage, which still to this day is the most exciting moment of my life. I went up to her, and I was covered in makeup, and I was sweating, and I was like, it's now or never, David. So I went up to her and I said, I just wanted to say I'm a really big fan of yours, and I hope I didn't bother you, and it was great to meet you. She grabbed my arm and she went, well, thank you, darling. And I was like, So yeah, it's kind of a geek out moment, but that was my most memorable moment.
Awesome. I think Dolly Parton is a great moment for all of us. Okay, so question number 4, what everyone is dying to know is, what is your favorite pizza topping?
Spicy sausage.
And where do you get it?
The crumbly kind, not that weird sliced kind of gyro meat thing. I mean, pepperoni I feel like is an obvious, so we take that off, but like spicy sausage.
And for our last question, tell me, if you could tell your 16-year-old self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say do the work. I think at that age, I was getting by. I think a lot of us get by on our talent and our excitement and our passion. But I was lazy when it came to the work, going to class every day and really working on my voice, really working on my dance, really working on my acting, really learning those sides for the auditions, really, working up, actually putting in that work, the kind of work that doesn't get you applause or somebody patting you on your back. The kind of private alone, putting in the work, I think is really important. And I think I skipped that step, and it ended up hurting me. It took me longer to get where I was because I had to go back and get good at dance and acting and singing. I was getting by on my talent alone and my charm and all those kind of fun things. But I really think I would tell my 16-year-old self, do the work, really work at it.
Well, I know this week is big for you. You've got some auditions coming up. Phantom is just around the corner, so we'll let you get back to rehearsing those sides like you were talking about.
I have them right here, 46 pages worth.
Oh, wow. Well, good luck with that. Thank you so much for taking time for the 5-minute call, David.
Thanks, Cessalee.
Bye.